Welcome, one and all. My name is Anna Lempriere. I work for the Cornwall Memory Cafe Network, supporting carers and people living with dementia to access services, make referrals, and really help them find a way to get more support. This is part of Disability Cornwall, and we've decided to create this podcast interviewing experts and people with lived experience on dementia to be able to share all sorts of interesting and informative and supportive information. So sit back and enjoy, and also share the podcast with your friends. It's relaxed and inclusive and welcoming, and thank you for listening. Welcome everybody to our Dementia Toolkit video series, a one-stop shop answering all your questions on everything dementia related. Simple educational advice from people with lived experience and professionals in their field. We aim to provide support that's personalised to help you on your dementia journey. Thank you for being here, and it's exceptionally exciting that I have got a Queen's nurse, Lorraine Butcher, here with us today to talk to us about Parkinson's. And I have very little understanding or knowledge about that, and so we're going to pick her brain and her knowledge. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Anna Lempriere, and I am the podcast host on behalf of the Cornwall Memory Cafe Network. And we've created this podcast to be informative, interviewing people with lived experience and experts in their field, all about the dementia pathway, everything we can think of that you might need to know. And the charity that I work for is Disability Cornwall. So you can find us on YouTube under Discover Voices. Welcome, Lorraine. Thank you so much for being here. She's a Queen's nurse. Tell us where you work, Lorraine.
So I work for Cornwall Foundation Trust, and I work in the community as a Parkinson's nurse specialist. So this means that we go into community hospitals, we do home visits for people who are housebound, and we also have clinics that we see people with Parkinson's in, and we also go onto the wards as well.
Wow. Thank you so much. So I wonder if we start right from scratch, and I am a laywoman. I know nothing about Parkinson's disease, and I wonder if you could just tell us a little bit about what it is, and also I'd be really interested to understand why it's linked with dementia as well, please.
Okay, yeah. So a little bit about Parkinson's. So Parkinson's is a progressive and it's a fluctuating neurological condition, and it is one of the fastest growing neurological conditions in the world. We're not exactly sure why people get Parkinson's, but research thinks that it's a combination of age, genetics, and possibly environmental factors. And what happens is it causes the dopamine producing nerve cells to die. So dopamine is a neurotransmitter, and it's also a hormone, and it plays a crucial role in various bodily functions. So things like movement, your movement that you don't even think about. It also plays a role in reward, motivation, mood, attention, and learning. And it's also, dopamine's referred to as the feel-good hormone. Yeah, so in Parkinson's, what's happening is the nerve cells die, and they lead to the development of Parkinson's. So what we do know is that when Parkinson's symptoms appear, about 80% of the dopamine producing cells have been lost from the part of the brain that controls movement. The part of the brain that controls movement is known as the substantia nigra, and it's part of the brain stem. So things are slowing down and the brain stops producing dopamine, and as the cells die, the body commands are disrupted, and this results in Parkinson's disease and then the symptoms of Parkinson's. And they're not really sure, so the cause and loss of dopamine is unknown.
Wow. Okay, I mean, this is triggering all sorts of questions, but let's go to the second question, which was, so why would it be linked with dementia?
So it's important to say, so not everyone with Parkinson's will develop dementia. The risk of developing dementia is increased when you have Parkinson's. And because, as I highlighted earlier, dopamine does play a role in attention and cognition. So there are studies ongoing and there does need to be more research, but dopamine plays a vital role, and its deficiency is a key factor in the development of Parkinson's disease, but it's also a key factor in certain types of dementia. So there have been some studies around Alzheimer's and links to dopamine deficiency, and they're not exactly sure of the mechanisms because those are still being investigated, but the research strongly suggests that dopamine plays a significant role in the development and progression of various forms of dementia. And as we know, it also plays a significant role in Parkinson's. So, I mean, there are other factors, chemical messengers like serotonin and acetylcholine and dopamine. They're all used to send signals throughout the brain. And some studies show that the loss of cells that use dopamine, they impair the function in the brain regions to create new memories, but research is still ongoing.
Wow. So my next question then is, one thing that I understand is that dopamine is created through, like you were sort of saying, a reward. So it could be through affection, or I read somewhere, and I might be wrong, but actually seeing somebody do an act of kindness can trigger dopamine, and that it is, like you were saying, a feel-good chemical hormone. So could you would you, I mean, I know you were saying you don't fully know, the research doesn't fully know, but would you say that creating more affection in your life and more kindness in your life might increase your dopamine?
So what we do know, so with Parkinson's, is exercise is really, really good. And it is one of the only things proven to actually slow down the progression of Parkinson's.
Wow. Wow.
So, but I mean, in exercise, dopamine is also being released. But I mean, just things like, even if you scroll through your phone, that's releasing dopamine, believe it or not. So when you're looking through social media a lot of the time, that is, so yeah, all those things that you are doing that are reward based, affect dopamine.
Wow. So it's almost like feel good activity is good for the brain. I mean, I must admit, I have just started taking up jogging, and you could call it trotting. It's gentle, but it's true. I mean, I feel so good afterwards. It's unbelievable, just getting all that fresh air and oxygen and getting my body moving a little bit more than just walking is incredible.
Yeah. So exercise, I mean, we know exercise is good no matter what, but there's a lot of research around Parkinson's, and it is proven that exercise will slow down the progression.
That's
It's got
incredible.
like a neuroprotective effect.
Wow. Wow, that's powerful. So anybody listening, we got to get moving a bit more.
Yeah.
So I suppose then let's go back to the beginning and ask, what are the first symptoms? And I imagine once getting a diagnosis, you get the support wraparound. These people are going to sort of start meeting people like you, and we're gonna get the help we need. What might be some symptoms that we would look for, or tell us a little bit about the Parkinson's pathway?
Yeah, so I mean, so everybody's symptoms are really different. And it's important to say, I mean, we could do a whole nother podcast on motor and non-motor symptoms, but normally for people, it's a combination of things, but normally it's something like they've slowed down quite a bit. They might be feeling a bit more stiff, a bit more rigid. Tremor can also be present, but it's not always present for everyone. And sometimes a lot of people notice symptoms for years, but because they've slowed down gradually, they might be feeling a bit stiffer. They put it down to age as well. But there are non-motor symptoms as well, which tend to sometimes affect people a little bit further down the line, but they can be, prominent early on. So things like constipation and frequency with the bladder and things as well.
Wow. Okay. And then what if people were feeling those symptoms or had any concerns? What would be the steps to take?
So normally what happens is they go to their GP, which they do, and then the GP refers them to a consultant. And so that would be either a consultant neurologist or an elder care consultant. And then they go on a waiting list, and then they would wait to see that consultant. And then once they have a diagnosis of Parkinson's, then they would start the Parkinson's nurse pathway. So we can't see people with Parkinson's unless they have a confirmed diagnosis from a consultant.
And then what are the next steps then? So once they've had the diagnosis, they've been on the waiting list, they've seen that consultant, and they've had that diagnosis, what comes next then? What support's out there?
So they're referred to our service. And normally what happens is we contact, the first point of contact is actually a phone call, just to check in, see how they are, because they have seen the consultant. A lot of the time they will have been prescribed medication. So we normally follow up with a phone call to see how they're doing. If they've started medication, has it been beneficial, any side effects? And then we introduce them to our pathway. We see, do they need any face-to-face review? Because if we decide from the telephone conversation that actually they might need to be seen in clinic or face-to-face, then we do that as well. Then we also, for new patients, we refer them to our physical self-management group. And we also refer them to, if they would like, and we also refer them to Parkinson's Connect, which is run by Parkinson's UK. And that forms kind of all of the new patient pathway.
That's amazing. So you're kind of connecting them up with people that are like them, that have a lot more information and community. And I think you mentioned, what was the name of the first one?
The physical self-management?
Yes,
that one?
yes,
yeah. So that's run by Dr. Sophia Holbert, and it's all about exercise and what you should be doing to try and help in terms of exercise. It's a one-off session to which I think runs over about 6 weeks, but it's for newly diagnosed, and it's to try and give them the best support and advice in terms of what kind of physical activity they should be doing to help with the Parkinson's side of things.
Amazing, amazing. And then the second one was sounded like it was more of a community.
Yeah, so Parkinson's Connect is actually run by Parkinson's UK. And what they do is, if the person agrees that that's what they would like, then they are supported by Parkinson's UK through their advisors, who give tailored information to the person with Parkinson's from diagnosis. So it's really patient-centered.
Okay. Well, this sounds good, and I'm just writing this down because I will put the Parkinson's UK link in the show notes. And if there's anything else you can recommend that we put in the show notes for people to do more research, that would be really useful.
Okay, so Parkinson's UK, definitely. So there's a lot of misinformation online. So
Mm.
any information about Parkinson's, if you have a look on the Parkinson's UK website, it has everything on there from medication, the different types of medication, to if you need information about constipation or bladder, or if freezing in Parkinson's. So they have everything. They also have a dedicated helpline
Oh, wow.
with, yeah, so you can call their helpline, and they also have nurse advisors on the helpline as well. So they're
Brilliant.
a charity, and they do a lot of research as well around potential treatments, and they are there to support people with Parkinson's and their families as well.
That's amazing, Lorraine. Thank you. All right. So, look, we're coming to the end. It's a nice, short, and sweet one. But I wondered if there's anything else you think the listeners need to know. Is there anything else you'd love to share?
I think the only thing I would like to share is there's a lot more Parkinson's practitioners coming into post. So we always talk about Parkinson's nurses, but Parkinson's practitioners, and we have one in our team as well. They usually have a physiotherapy or some kind of occupational therapy or speech and language therapy background, and they are not working in that capacity. They are working in the role as a Parkinson's specialist. And we're seeing a
Um,
lot more of those. And it's really good to have that in our team because, we've got a Parkinson's practitioner and her background is physio. So she brings a lot of different perspective and really good advice, just in terms of, movement for Parkinson's. So I just
Wow.
wanted to highlight that because not everybody might be aware of what a Parkinson's
What?
practitioner is. So they're
Yes.
working as in line of with, a Parkinson's nurse specialist, but they're Parkinson's practitioners.
Wow. That's amazing. Thank you so much. Have I covered everything?
As far as I know, I
Oh,
think so.
thank you. Thank you for the work that you do, Lorraine. Thank you for your time today. I know you're a very busy woman, and it's been fascinating. And I'll put all the information that you shared, everything that I can, in our show notes for people to dive deeper in and refer and explore there. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, Anna. Thanks for having me.
This video was produced by Discover Voices, part of Disability Cornwall and Isles of Scilly. To check out all of our content, simply search Discover Voices on YouTube.